Oh, it's time for our long-term review of the Yoeleo SAT C50 wheels. As you remember from my much longer initial review of these wheels, they are 50 mils deep approximately, 23 internal, about 30 external, and I'll give you some more dimensions in this later in the video. And I'm running them with your standard GP5000s with TPU tubes at 70 front and 73 PSI rear as per your silica tool. It's been 5 months, so as part of this test, I've ridden this far, I've climbed this much elevation, and I've put this much hours onto these wheels. And please don't calculate the average speed. It's rather embarrassing, but I do live in the mountains. Heinz, does it embarrass you that your master and subservient human cannot pronounce Yoeleo and always says Yoeleo? Yeah, it embarrasses you too, doesn't it, girl? I apologize to you two for the mistake I made during the initial video when I didn't discuss the noise of the Freehub. It's loud. It's to the point where when I was at a hotel, I was carrying the bike down the hall rather than wheeling it because I got some complaints. I don't know if that's good or bad, but she sure makes a good sound. These are the dimensions of the rims from the previous video. And thankfully, I'd like to report I haven't managed to change these dimensions, even with my 99.92 kilogram frame riding the crap out of these things. As you can see, I really live in an awful area when it comes to cycling. It's kind of boring. There's no views. And there's only flat terrain. We're actually on probably the only flat road in the whole bloody region right here, because most of the time I'm riding in either the hills and or the mountains on either freshly repaved or dreadfully rough roads. This region can also be quite windy, including gusts of wind, I'd say up to 50, 60, even 70k an hour, although usually when that's going on, this guy's in snacking. I've done a little bit of rail trail and some light gravel on these wheels. I really haven't had an issue. I would recommend against doing it with these tires though, because there's a higher potential of you, when you're running 30s, of scuffing your rims. One of the big issues we have where I live is these bloody cattle guards. You gotta get enough speed to clear them, and every once in a while I miss. Ah! I can assure you that with a headwind or even the slightest incline, I can't muster the speed to clear these cattle guards. For compliance, these certainly are not the most compliant wheel set I own, but they are compliant enough that it doesn't cause any issues, especially when combined with this 30 mil tire and running 70 front and 73 rear. As far as stiffness goes, I've really reefed on these wheels, let's say up to 1250 watts, and they seem to be solid and track straight. I've also put these things into some really tight downhill switchback corners, and they just seem solid. Clearly, with about 140 subscribers and 10,000 views on my videos, I'm not going to be given access to a wind tunnel. I can comment though, compared to the last generation of NxT wheels, these seem pretty good. Like any wheel, 50 mils in diameter, in brutal crosswinds, they're not exactly conference inspiring, but no wheel is, I believe. I also did ask Patrick Leno about whether he thought these wheels were good aerodynamically. And his comment back to me is he ranked them in his top 3 of probably somewhere between, let's say, 20 and 25 wheels he's recently tested. So Yoeleo replied to my initial review video, and you can freeze this if you want, take a look at it, but AI obviously helped them reply to me. But their main point is, hey, MAE, you don't have to be so concerned about the variations in tension on the non-tension side of the wheels we built up for you. Over the 1,000 kilometers, the wheel remained laterally true, but went out of dish slightly. It detensioned itself on the non-disc side. Over the same period, the rear wheel didn't change significantly as far as trueness and or dish. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but didn't take the tires off to see what the radial variation was, but there was really no hops in the rim evident. Before we get into spoke tensions, I want to mention to you that measurements with this, this is a great little consumer level tool, are not particularly accurate. So I didn't compare the absolute numbers from the previous time I measured it, particularly considering it was probably about 5 to 10 degrees Celsius in my garage. And now when I took the new sets of readings in my garage, it's about 30. So we'll look at the overall shape as plotted by the Park tool. I'm not sure how I managed to screw up the colors. Maybe I flipped them around when I entered them in the Park tool. But you can see the general shape of the spoke tension from 0 to 1,000 kilometers is not significantly different. The final image all the way to the right shows the 3 spokes I trued on the non-tension side. And they were the higher ones that I initially pointed out during my first review. But we're talking very minor here, like 3/4 of a turn or something to get the rim back into true. In the rear, one of the higher tension spokes appears to have on the non-tension side, or the disc side as opposed to the cassette side, detensioned itself. And I gave another tweak to another spoke randomly. But once again, as per the front wheel, like half a turn, 3/4 of a turn, nothing too major, considering the life these wheels have had. Bottom line, I agree with Yoeleo that I should have probably just chilled out on the spoke tension. And say you were a 75 kilogram person and you didn't have cattle guards in your area, I'm sure those wheels would be almost as perfectly true as when you bought them. If you look on AliExpress, I think you might be able to get from some shop or Elite Wheels or something a comparable wheel set for say $800-900 US. But when you look at the main brands, I looked on Panda Podium, I can't even pronounce that, and I saw the Far Sports wheels, which are about $120 more US for a very comparable wheel. Oh, sure, you get an extra 1 millimeter on the internal. Or if you go to your local bike shop, you can get an Envy SES 4.5 Pro, and they're only going to set you back about $3,750 US. They're a little lighter though, but you have to tape the damn thing, so I don't think they include that tape in the weight. The other comment, which I haven't made yet, is I really believe the solid rim bed is an advantage if you're going tubeless in particular. But that's the topic of another video. So the conclusion is, for $1,000 US, These wheels are plenty compliant. They seem to do okay in the aerodynamics. Considering the life they've had, I've just had some minor tweaks on them when, if you watch my initial video, I have some concerns about the non-tension side spoke tensions, but everything is good. I can 100% recommend these wheels, and I'll remind you, I paid for these wheels out of my own money. Clearly, with 140 subscribers, I'm not sponsored and no one's breaking down my door. So with that, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. If you've got a comment or a question, put it down below. And with that, ride hard.